Welcome back to the Highfields Sports Complex here at the University of Nottingham as we await our our latest match. It's Belgium taking on France in the Women's Open. Mel Day will be joining me on commentary. She will be here very, very shortly. But for now, you just get me solo as we start. And it's France with the tap off. So these two teams have met in the competition earlier this week. France with an emphatic 15-0 victory that time, and it looks like they're going to start with a score here. Indeed they are. Great start for the French, straight from the tap off. And that was Yves Sommes who has gone over within the first 30 seconds. Pops the ball down, receives it back from Nadia Quimner. Yves Sommes gives France the lead, 1-0 for Belgium. They will obviously be looking for improvement as Mel has turned into Robin Budd. Hi, Robin.
Hello. You've traded an uninjured potential referee for an injured actual referee. So I'm on this one for now, and we'll see how we go. So, look, like I'm looking up. I've got no idea. Is this Women's Open Belgium?
This
France?
is Women's Open Belgium France. France.
And
opened
it's off
the
to a good
scoring
start.
in the 30 seconds. It looks like they're going to go 2-0 ahead, and they are indeed. Agathe Minot. So just 1 minute 30 seconds gone, and France are 2-0 ahead. And Agathe Minot is the latest try scorer.
Really nice, just going through the hands off the back of that sub play. I think it's a move we've seen a few teams use very productively. The Belgian number 8 is a really good athlete. I thought she might just catch her.
Yeah, Mike using her. We've seen her. We've seen Belgium a few times on this pitch here, and they really do seem to be improving each game. And I suppose the goal for them here is they lost earlier in the week 15-0 to France. If they can make an improvement on that scoreline, then they'll be happy, because it's all about their development, really.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think you look for a goal. You look for something that is meaningful that you can take forwards. That might be reducing the margin of loss. It might be putting some more scores down. Did you say it was 15-0?
15-0 the last
time.
So
get yourself over the whitewash. See how that goes. it's a bit disjointed, but these tournaments are huge for everyone involved because it's so much intense time on your craft, for want of a less pretentious word. Number 7 might have a little chance here. I think that's good.
That is down, and yes, there's a big cheer from the Belgian contingent in front of us, and they have scored, and they are enjoying that one.
They've got fantastic supporters. I was down on the Belgian men's game this morning, and actually the reason I'm up here is I was injured on the Belgian men's game this morning, but never mind that. And their fans were right out there really giving it their all. So, and look, day 4 of a 5-day tournament, that is huge to have behind you.
And it is Josephine Fallon, the Belgian, who puts the ball down, and they've reduced it to 1. And you could see the delight when they scored that. And as you said, Robin, maybe they just look to try and get over the whitewash. Well, they've done it, and very early on. And in fine style as well. It wasn't fluke, it wasn't intercept, it wasn't something a little strange. It was a touch play and slam down in the corner on the link channel. So really good. Just talk about your injury. Is it anything serious? I hope not.
Well, I'm like an idiot. I've managed to do something to my calf muscle. We're going to have a look at it tonight and see how it'll come back up tomorrow. And if not, well, listen, you might have lost one commentator and you might gain another one who's just as happy to stand around. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. I was saying, for the players, 5-day tournament, a lot of touch, and for me it's a lot of running around, and yeah, sometimes these things happen.
I think France thought they'd scored there. It's not been given. There's Belgium.
Yeah, I think
have
a forward pass in the build-up. Mike Davis, on-field referee now, very experienced ref. Tried to knock my hat off in the tent just before I came here, though, so he's in my bad books. So John Beaton taking the game there. John just come back from volunteering at the Commonwealth Games. Yes,
because that's been happening. Still happening in Birmingham. I think final day Monday, I believe.
So scrappy. So Belgium lost the ball driving to their box, and now France have lost it, just sort of trying to return. And it gives Belgium an opportunity. So they've got some numbers, got some pace behind them.
Yeah, what is definitely noticeable for Belgium from when we saw them earlier in the week and even yesterday is how much more fluent their driving forward has become.
Yeah, I think for me, you're looking at how many touches are sort of meaningful, how many touches are made, and there's a decent chance to do something off the back of. And they've earned a penalty there for France backing away too early. You could hear, I don't know how the mics come through, but you could hear Mike there really exhorting those French players to stay up and make the touch. So now they've got a fresh 6. And all of a sudden it could be 2-2.
Yeah, I mean, that would be
trying to keep yourself calm.
Huge for Belgium if they can bring it back level. But it's not only that, it's the confidence it then gives them.
Yeah, definitely. I think the state of a game and the scoreline of a game aren't always the same thing. And I think if they can come back from this to a point where they were on level pegging with France, that's 2 penalties on the line. If there's a third, a French player will go to the bin. If they can come back from this and say, we've had them at 2-2, then that's huge, that's massive.
Belgium just making a change in their sub-box.
France should be careful, though, right? There's not actually too much consistent threat from Belgium. There's no reason for them to give these penalties away. And that's what I mean about meaningful touches. So took it all the way out to one side, made a touch, ball recycled, no big drive forwards.
Almost taken. Louis Champeau.
She was getting the defender at the same time as she was getting the ball, so I don't know how much the drop cost them, because I'm pretty sure it would have been a touch, but stretched France and definitely had them. And they've dropped the ball again!
Belgium putting real pressure on France here.
Would you describe France as rattled at this point?
Yeah, I think you could, couldn't you? And they started off so well. They scored straight from the opening tap-off. Then within 90 seconds of the game starting, it's 2-0. We're now at 7 minutes. Belgium have pulled one back, and they're threatening to bring it level.
Yeah, so they're looking a lot for what you call a 21 platform. I feel bad because there's been 5 days of this. Have people been doing the numbers a lot?
Yes.
Right, okay. Let me test you. What's a 21 platform?
So 21 is the link and the wing.
Yes, fantastic. Good shut in by the mid there. So Belgium looked to be doing that a lot. It was fashionable, for want of a better phrase, in women's touch for quite a while. We've got a turnover here.
Yeah,
so
Yeah, Ben Meakin on commentary earlier sort of was explaining 33s, 32s, 21s. So obviously the 3 relates to the mids, the 2 relates to the links, and the 1 relates to the wing, and then you just put the numbers together. And
I can tell Ben's drilled you on this. You seem slightly nervous. Don't worry, I'm not Ben. I'm not gonna shout at you if you get it wrong. Yeah. So the 21 that Belgium are using, it tends to work better against weaker teams because 49, not a space there. It tends to work better against weaker, less confident teams because it creates a bit of a space out on the wing, but most teams can manage that space very well. I think Belgium probably need to look to come in a little bit deeper. Even if you're dumping on that link, what you can talk about is a 23 instead. So that's a mid coming in, and you try and do it sort of further towards the middle. You draw that link in, and then you're opening that space up a lot more.
It's Belgium who have the ball again. They're over halfway and they bring fresh legs on. It's a full change for Belgium.
Oh, nearly had a drop there.
Yeah,
8 is scooping. 8 is rapid.
Oh, and it's just number 8 for Belgium.
There's 6 again there for France. So John judged the French player played at the ball. So Belgium will yet again get a 6 again on their line.
Belgium putting France under a great deal of pressure here.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, still 2-1. Nearly 10 minutes in.
So they come back into the middle.
Yeah, I wouldn't be betting any element of my house on Belgium getting a result here, but it is awkward for France.
Good touch as the France defence is holding firm at the minute, and they have been under a lot of pressure, and to be fair to the defence, it's held out quite well so far. Another touch made, final touch, so Belgium have to go from a static start here.
So trying to just organise themselves. I think they were talking to me yesterday, they were saying they speak penalty again against France. Sorry, I'm drawn into what's going on the pitch there. So they were talking to me yesterday and saying that they have 4 languages between them in that team, in the Belgium team, and English is actually their common language. So they speak to each other in English because it's the only one they all know. It's Flemish, French. Oh no, this was the one I blanked on as well.
Is it
German? It might be German. Let's say it's German.
Maybe a bit of
Dutch.
Probably Dutch.
Okay, listen, we've got our best minds on it. But the point is, I think that probably can't help. Fluency is not just a concept in language. Although there's a little... See, what I'd like to see is the winger on that split really far out to the wing, because then the defending winger has to follow her, and that opens up a space, and if the defending winger doesn't, then it'll be an easy opportunity.
Pass not completed, so France will breathe a sigh of relief once again. As they head towards the sub-box and make some changes.
Yeah, I mean, France have really got to sort of honestly get their heads on a little bit here. And they're appealing for a decision there, and I can't see any reason why they should get it. For me, she just rolled the ball and dropped it.
I think you described it perfectly earlier. They're rattled.
Yeah. And it's interesting. I mean...
Oh, that's heavy.
So, I think 14 came up very, very quick there. But it's a good decision by Caroline, the on-field referee. It's probably pronounced differently, but it's spelt the same. And the French referees do laugh at my attempts to speak French. I'm not going to try and do the pronunciation. Caroline made, I think, a good judgment there that there was just too much force into the touch from the Belgian player.
So France have the ball.
What have you made of sort of contact in the women's game? Because for no particularly good reason, I think there's a consensus where you go, single gender men's touch should be more physical. What have you seen for the women's game? What do you make of it? I think, as referees, I think it's something we need to look at and think, why do we have a different expectation here? But I'm really curious what it looks like from the outside.
No, I've seen there has been some heavy touches, but I've seen that in all formats that we've watched on here. That I think it's very hard to differentiate between the different formats that we've had, because there have been heavy touches through all formats, and obviously there is only slight contact that there is supposed to be in touch rugby. There have been heavy ones, some have been let go, others have been called. So I think on a consistency basis it's very difficult to say.
It is very hard. I think consistency is very hard to achieve because the most obvious thing is the outcome of the contact, but the thing that matters to make a decision on is the sort of the nature of it, right? So someone can end up on their behind completely, justifiably, and someone can end up on their behind because they've been put there in a way that they shouldn't have, and I think it is very interesting to try and manage that. Number 8 for Belgium, I think, is a really good athlete. She's just really chose nicely there.
Now, the only thing was that forward. I think that has been called by the
very flat.
Referee.
We had a nice, good all clear from Caroline at sideline, and Mike giving that score. Mike Davis giving that score.
So
our
France lead 3-1.
Yeah, a little. What's the word I'm looking for? Continental. So Caroline is from France. John is from Scotland and Mike is from England. So as ever, we get these nice fun referee teams of all different countries. It was pretty flat. I think she was sort of carrying it through over the lines. I think a good call on that one.
So France 3-1, and they'll be breathing a sigh of relief that they've managed to get a score. 2 in 90 seconds, and then it takes them till 14th minute before they get another one.
Yeah, I mean, it's an opportunity for them to start to exert themselves back onto this game, right? Oh, I think I see your commentator just running along in front of us getting warm. Yeah, it's an opportunity for them to exert themselves back onto this game. It's an opportunity for them to take control again, and they really, really should be doing that. Oh!
Diving through.
She was half, I think. Yeah. So a little bit of white line fever there. So she picked the ball up at half, and I'm sure it's been said a bajillion times on the commentary already. The half can't score, but saw that little opening, had a dive, and it was a good dive. But I think she was touched first, and even if she wasn't, it wouldn't have been a score.
It's another handling error by France, though. They've had far too many of those for their liking, and totally unforced error.
There's no conditions out there. We're at probably the best time of the day for the ball to be in good shape, which is a strange one, I know, but actually when they're really new, sometimes if there's even a little bit of moisture, that can make them a bit slippy. It's not like that. It's dry, it's warm, but it's not sweaty hot. France really should be tidying things up a bit.
Yeah, we were saying that the pitch, although it still looks excellent, that it is starting to get a little worn now, which is understandable. At the end of today, it'll have had 48 matches on it in 4 days. So, but it's holding up really well. But we have noticed that little puffs of dust just coming up in certain areas.
there is a crater. I'm overselling it. There is a divot out there on the sort of what will be the right hand side of the picture. That's not great. When you say 48 games in 4 days, maths, you're absolutely right. It's had a lot of wear, and it's holding up really well for that. It's better than some of the first day pitches we've had at some of the other club grounds, but you just can't have that many pairs of big size 9s going up and down it without a bit of wear, and that will be a factor for the players to be dealing with.
Marine Nuri has gone over, so France lead 4-1. So Belgium, we've work to do again. France just stretching away a little bit as we get towards half time. But this has been a really good performance by Belgium.
Yeah, and you can see Caroline stepping up into the line as the referee, because Belgium just aren't moving back. Aren't making any space up the field, and when that happens, what you get there happens, which is you run out of momentum, you run out of steam, and you get to a point where you're making your own mistakes.
France make a couple of changes, so that just stunts their advancement forward for a second, but they've done really well here.
France can put a bit of a full stop on the sentence here. They can just make that point that it'll be a forward pass. They'll just make that point that it's, they're the better team, they're pulling ahead here. If they can just get a score just to sort of seal off this half.
Indeed, but Belgium will be happy because this is obviously a team that they lost 15-0 to last time they played. They've already scored 1. They've only restricted them to 4 tries so far. Okay, that may change in the second half as France will look to assert their dominance. But from a Belgian point of view, they are going to go into this half-time break probably delighted with that
Absolutely, and that's what I mean about never mind the final scoreline. This is a competitive first half. This is 2 teams on almost equal footing in this half.
Definitely.
It is not a mismatch. It is not a minnow against a giant, and they should be taking an awful lot from that.
Indeed, they will.
The coach is an absolutely delightful man. Really, really nice. I'm sure he'll be absolutely bigging his ladies up at the end of the half. And
one thing I've noticed about the Belgian coach as well, the way he's constantly going up the line, he's talking to the players, he's giving them encouragement. He's not just stood there watching.
Well, he had a what was it? He did his ACL or something last time I saw him. So probably an element of it, at least, is that he's glad he can walk around. I don't know. Have you seen the England Lions team? They have a coach who's currently out with a knee ligament issue, and I've seen her a couple of times, and she's been told to sit in the chair when she's coaching, levers herself up out of it every 5 minutes because she just can't do it. So yeah, I mean, I think there's 2 things there, right? He's active. Who can blame him? I think you always have your own individual approach as a coach, and as long as you don't come off as frantic or panicked, I think actually having a bit of energy, you can give that energy to the players. So that's good. And I think the other thing, like you're saying, he encourages his players, and that's so meaningful. I'm not sure. There are other approaches, and arguably fine, but I think especially when you've got a bit of a rougher ride through a tournament, it's really good to just keep that positivity going in the box, and I think he'll do that. Really, really like the man.
Certainly is, as France go through again. But no try given. Touch was made, so Belgium have the ball again. We're 20 seconds away from half time.
They're looking a little tired here, Belgium. I think the half could be useful for them.
France just have it. They'll probably have a chance for 1, maybe 2 plays.
And there we go. What an interesting half.
It was very interesting. Belgium getting the score, and they put France under an awful lot of pressure for large parts of that half.
Oh, very much so, yeah. I think there'll be much more to talk about in the French box than in the Belgian box.
Well, we are going to take a short break here in the commentary box, and we're going to head over to Ian in the studio.
Hello everybody, welcome down to the studio, and I'm with a man who's been there, seen it, done it. You can't pull the wool over his eyes. It's Greg Taylor. Greg, congratulations, because yesterday you got your 100th international cap as a referee, and there was a very nice guard of honour. Were you quite emotional?
Yeah, it was. I thought initially people might have forgotten about it, but it was a pleasant surprise. Yeah, it really was.
No one's going to forget about that. Come on. Look, let's talk about your journey. 18 years you've been a referee. How did it all start?
Well, I started as a player, like most people, like most referees do. You get an understanding of the game, and usually your team needs a referee. So without a referee, we don't have a game.
Yep.
So from there, it was a learning process, and yeah.
So I understand you've been to 5 World Cups.
Yes.
Where in the world have you been, and where were those 5 World Cups?
So the first one was in Stellenbosch, South Africa, 2007. And then we went to Edinburgh in 2011, which was a magnificent World Cup. 2015 we went home to Australia to Coffs Harbour, and it rained.
Typical.
And then 2018 I went to the Youth World Cup in Malaysia, and then I went back for the Open World Cup of 2019, and that was hot.
Yeah.
53, 54 degrees hot.
Well, we're yet to have a venue for the 2024 World Cup, but hopefully that will be announced sooner rather than later. Now, the game has developed so much over the years, and the refereeing standard has got so high, hasn't it? What's the coaching methods? How do people get involved? And I've seen you coaching people actually over at Pitch 5. Do you have to do that, or you just enjoy doing it?
No, I try to enjoy it to bring up the game. So if the referee's better, the game gets better.
Yeah.
So it's about refereeing smarter, not harder. and doing the little things, the little technical things that makes it easier for them instead of being too hard. As far as the coaching goes, we have world-class coaches here and at home, and they work in conjunction with our player coaches and try to understand what the coach of the players wants out of their team. What are they trying to do? And then that puts us in the best position we can be if we can read that or understand and then read that. We're in the spot on the time every time.
I suppose it all mixes together, doesn't it? The standard refereeing is very, very high. And we were just talking about the countries who are sort of developing their game. We're just looking at Belgium over there. We spoke about Luxembourg. Bulgaria here for the first time.
I just refereed them, yes.
And how were they?
They scored a try. It was brilliant against England. Wow. They scored a try against England.
But that's nice to see, isn't it? Because we need to see this grow. As I said to you before, I spoke to Victor from Spain 5 years ago, 5 people. Now they've got 500. It's really working, isn't it? And it starts at the top. It starts with a standard of refereeing as well.
It does, yeah. And it's good that we've got some travelling coaches, players, referees that are going around the world and assisting to develop these nations and develop the sport in those nations. Chile is another place that has come along leaps and bounds, and it's really pleasant to see all these other teams, because when you want a World Cup, you want everybody there.
Absolutely. Great, congratulations. Here's to 100 more.
Okay, thank you much.
Cheers. Let's hand back to the comms.
Thank you very much to Ian there. We're back here on pitch 1 as we await the start of the second half. 30 seconds to go. Robin still with me. And Robin, what do you think Belgium's objectives are going to be in this second half?
Well, it's all about what your approach is, isn't it? Because do you go for the moonshot and say, there are 3 scores in this and we've put 1 on them? Ladies, show me you can do this. Or do you talk about, moderate objectives and let's try this and let's try that? I think another half like that, an 8-2 game, would be pretty huge for them. It would be pretty amazing. So more of that would be great. France need to show that they can fix their problems. I said before half time about France having more things to talk about in their box, France having more things they need to fix, and I think that's the question for them, is can they adapt to what's already happened in this game and improve on it and fix it, and nearly let her through there in that little gap there. The link covered, but was a little late covering, so that's one option. And then equally, it's what can you do to really assert yourself again. There's going to be a touch and pass here, so a little bit directionless, that set of 6 from Belgium, a little bit less intent than I would have wanted off the tap-off, but plenty of time in the game. Let's see what they can do.
Here's France who have the ball. They go straight to their sub-box and make a change, quite a fluent change as well. Over halfway now. Comes back central. Scooped up. And now they're threatening the 7-metre line. This is a good move by France. Touch is claimed. Yes, and touch is given. Good defence by Belgium.
Yeah, good defence. The winger chased out nicely. The mid just got her hips in the wrong way after that touch, sort of in the middle, and let them through on that scoop. But winger covered for her very nicely.
So down it goes. I do love this. It's happened. I've heard it quite a lot from various teams where they're shouting the touches from the sub box. It's just so they don't lose count when they're on the field.
Yeah,
I can imagine it's easy to do as well when you're in that game and you're trying to count up. Yeah, it must be a great help to have that.
Yeah. So in attack, especially the way we play the game for a lot of places in Europe, you do often know, because you'll run quite a structured thing, and that can sometimes betray you, because what will occasionally happen is teams will be trying to run a pattern, but along the way they've taken one more touch than they thought they might, and a good score there from France.
Yeah, it's Aggie Minot just going over in the corner, and France take a 5-1 lead, do
Or no,
they?
there's a little conflab between Mike and John here. Agathe Minot is going to have to wait to find out what the fate of that potential score is.
Officials just having a...
I think they're talking about a previous play, going back to that, working out what happened there. Looks like we might not get our score. No.
So here's the replay. Let's see what happens here.
So
Now,
it's nothing to do with the last element. It's something that happened in the build-up, and I didn't quite catch it from that. But yeah, it gives Belgium a fresh opportunity, and will probably shake France a little bit as well.
yeah, so it remains 4-1 to France.
Number 8 is a real athlete. I really want to see her do something cool. I really think she's got something good in her. Who is number 8? Is it?
Matthew Husing, she's been
I'm
spotted
putting you on the
before.
spot asking you to pronounce these names sometimes.
Yes.
Sorry about that.
No, it's like we had the captain's dinner on Monday over at the university, and I was fortunate enough to speak to a few of the captains and go through some pronunciations
very
and
good.
make sure they were spot on. Unfortunately, I didn't get to speak to the Belgian women's captain, so I hope I'm getting them right.
We're trying our hardest, we promise. Yeah, I mean, good shoot and good control. It's touch there from the link, and it was a touch on the half, so it'll be turned over there.
Let's put back, and
There's a yeah, I think number 10 and number 1 on the French team I've seen play before, and they're rapid as well, so
yeah,
we might see some of that.
Mathilde Emery and Marie Henry. You never like to assume when you see the same surname, but maybe they're related.
Pretty sure they are known to be sisters. If I'm wrong, I'll run away and hide. 8 Belgian. Oh, good take from 1 there. She nearly lost that. Just look a bit lost. You've got to run with intent, like 1 is doing here, and then dump and scoop and kick out. No, she's gone straight to the middle, which I don't think was the play there. You've got, I mean, I suppose you've always got 3 options when you scoop. You can just hammer down straight in front of you, and if you've really got good off the line speed, you might get some success with that. Or you can kick to the short side, or you can kick to the open side. And those kind of decisions are going to be driven by what the defence are presenting in front of you. So I think she looked sort of promising there, but in the end just was struggling to make the right decision on where to go. Little touch and pass.
Yeah, it's
Touch and pass from France there. Again, puts Belgium back in the game.
yeah, Belgium. They've gone for the change. And yeah, there's no support there, and that's just, I suppose, a little lack of experience there.
Yeah, I think it's again. I always try not to say the same thing every time I watch a game, especially when there's a sort of a weaker team. But it is about fluency and confidence and clarity. You know, how do we as a team create chances and scores? And Belgium don't have that clarity. France, I think, do, and are just struggling to execute, which will be frustrating for them. But yeah, they've just got to take some things out of the equation, make sure they execute their game plan.
Oh, there's space on the...
Went out to the wing, but there's no overlap, no numbers, no space.
Yeah,
She's trying to kick back
by
in. There might be a
Belgium,
little
but
option to
there
hear
might
the
be
wings bit.
now. Yeah, the pass incomplete. And that, to be fair, that was really good play by France, because the defence was holding really firm, and they managed to create something when it looked like the play might be dead.
Yeah, and they really put the wing in a tough position there. The defending wing had to make a decision. Does she come in? Does she stay out? She actually made the right decision on that. She came in and forced the pass, and the pass wasn't there to be had by the French wing. So good defence from Belgium, recovering from that situation.
It's just not quite completed there. And France have the ball again. They go towards halfway.
It's turned over again by France, and it's going to come up towards halfway.
Oh, that's... Now, what's going to be given here, do you think?
A little conflap and a hard touch is given against France.
So, fresh 6 for Belgium. to bring some fresh legs on. A little more fluent as they made the changes there for Belgium.
No, it's definitely looking tighter. Tu thinks she's heard an offside call, but no, the winger was all good, so she's going back to roll the ball there. I think that would have been really put the cat amongst the pigeons if she had just danced through and scored. So setting it up in the mids, but what's the play? What are we doing? And that's good. She's kicked out. She's looking for that 3-on-3. Back inside.
Good touch made.
I think there was a forward pass in the build-up, so in the end counted for naught.
Yeah, and France have the ball back.
So where are we? So we're nearly 3/4 of the way through. There's been no score in this half at all.
No. I think it's Belgium. Their defence has been really good, I think.
Over the mark again from France.
I think
the time off by the referee, I think it's just calling them back. I think basically the on-field players didn't quite make out the whistle. There's a bit of wind whistling around the ground, so it might have been caught up in that. And he's just having a conversation, so the sideline referee is just having a conversation with the French box.
And I think that this is a story of the game. The Belgian defence has actually performed really, really well. But also, I think France have had quite a few unforced errors that you certainly wouldn't expect of them.
Yeah, they've got to manage that the decisions. Oh gosh, I think someone shouted on, but it was just as one of the players fell over and I thought we had an injury. They've got to anticipate, or they've got to expect that they've not had the rub of the green on what they might have liked from this game, and they've got to really lock in and really get themselves in control of this game.
Yeah, and they have the potential to take control. I mean, they're 4-1 ahead, and so they've got 3 scores up. So in that respect, they're not going to panic too much, and they're probably going to go 5-1 ahead here, are they? But
yeah, I think they are. From the way that the winger, defending winger dived, I think that was more in hope than expectation. So there you go. They've got their score in this half. This half right now is 1-0. Equally, if you're Belgium, I feel like you'd have probably taken that at the start. So, you know, we're not, I don't think, going to get our shock result. Nice dive there from number 33. Good finish. Defending winger just not quite there to make the touch.
Marine Nuri going over in the corner there on the wing, so France 5-1 ahead. But yeah, I mean, it's no secret France are a better team than Belgium. But at the moment, Belgium have obviously taken learnings from the last time that they played France, and they've tightened up probably in the areas where they allowed France to score last time.
Yeah, and I think if you look at it, what you said there is absolutely correct, right? You look at the score on this, and it's not particularly more in the column for Belgium, but it's a lot less in the column for France. So, absolutely, it's just tightened up for Belgium, which is necessary. I think you've got to fix your defence. You've got to look at where you're giving scores away. It's the thing that when we get to these tournaments, all of a sudden you've got more information than you ever had. You can see how you're playing against all these teams, where your weaknesses are.
Yeah, we saw Belgium on here yesterday against Scotland, and Scotland 9-1 ahead at half time. Belgium managed to restrict them to 3 scores in the second half, and 2 of them were very, very late as well. And it seems to be a feature of this Belgium team is that they are learning so much even as the games are going on.
Oh, definitely. And actually, it's teams that are the less experienced that will do that. 8 making good yards. So it's definitely the teams that are less experienced that will do that, because they're getting experienced to higher level touch here, in a way that a French player in their domestic league will play some really good touch. An English player in their domestic stuff will play some really good touch. French players, those players are getting those opportunities. Belgian players, not so much. This is probably the best they're going to play for a while. There's a tournament out there, but I think it's later this year, so they won't even have had that. So they're definitely in a position to pick up more from the game.
And it's what they say, and this is how they can develop and grow, isn't it? There's the European Championships next year. If they go into that, they've got this tournament experience behind them, and they can only get better and continue getting better.
Absolutely, and you think of this as a starting point for Belgium, especially. So again, compare it with England. I'm a little bit, I sort of know what's going on when they set up their high performance. There was training very quickly after we were allowed to sort of come back from COVID. There's internal games that are very competitive, very skilled. There's national competitions that are really challenging. Those players get to kick on from there. They know a lot about how they're already playing. They know a lot of their strengths and weaknesses already. Belgian players don't have access to all of that, so they're going to be really struggling to get that same level of, well, where am I good, where am I bad, what happens when I'm under pressure from a really good player. That's what they can take away from this.
Yeah, so France start again, and they'll know they've been in the game when this is finished.
Yeah, 100%, and they really need to talk to themselves about why this happened and how they can fix it for next time, because they should have done better here. Having said that, they've scored there.
Dive through, Cecile Math diving through and getting their sixth try.
Really experienced player.
Yeah. Is it a case maybe that they went 2-0 ahead so early on, like 90 seconds they're 2-0 ahead? Does it maybe a little bit of complacency creep in?
It's always possible, isn't it? I think, I don't think it was complacency. I do think all of a sudden they just felt like the game got harder than they were expecting it to be. So that probably is, getting a couple early on is a factor there, definitely. So yeah, I think I could say, is it about the narrative of the game, or were they always a little bit up against it? I'm not sure.
It's the thing is when Belgium got that score back, it seemed to really shock France, and Belgium put them under an awful lot of pressure from that point.
Yeah, you've got to be formable. You've got to be open-minded about how a game is going to go. If something shocks you, you've got to react to that really well. And I do think there's probably been things like those scores that's put France on the back foot, and they've probably not dealt with it as well as they can. They can really play touch, this team. They are not a team that should only be putting 6 on Belgium. If they put one more down, and they have, well, there you go, maybe 7. They're a team who should be getting those double-figure scores against a team like Belgium. They're only now, I would say, finding their stride. I think for Belgium, there's probably a little bit, I don't know whether the coach was spritzing them up or letting some of the air out at half-time, but I think that possibility of, might we be on for a real shocker here, is maybe dissipated, and that's taken some of their intensity away.
Yes, indeed. And France go 7-1 ahead, so they have stretched away 3 scores in this second half, and they're going to feel far more comfortable now. I think the shock, or the possibility of a shock, has certainly gone away, but now I think it's about what can Belgium do, how can they respond to this, how can they respond to France's 3 scores. I suppose the goal for them is to try and maybe add another try or 2.
Yeah, and also keep them out. 5 minutes of game, yeah, you've shipped a couple. I think they were pretty close together, but let's really tighten up. Let's show that it wasn't a fluke, that 13ish, I think it was, minute period where they didn't let any through wasn't nothing, and that's where the defence is at.
We've talked about this on earlier commentaries as well, for teams like maybe Belgium, Sweden, Portugal, Luxembourg. It's where they try and section the game up into different time periods, and is it about trying to win one of them sections or draw one of them sections or keep a team out for one of them sections?
Yeah, definitely, and having that approach to the game of taking it one section at a time is the way to make it meaningful for a team like Belgium against a team like France. Absolutely, couldn't agree more. And I think it may have slipped away from them here. It maybe these last 5 minutes aren't their best, but even so, again, you look back at the game in terms of its nature, not its final score. There's an awful lot they can be happy with.
Sophie Lecalier de Valou has put the ball over there.
So we're going to have a turnover pretty much off the tap-off. I think they're probably getting tired. If I count the names, it looks like they're one short even of a normal match squad, let alone reserves. So, the 4 days so far will be in the legs of these Belgian players a lot more than the French, so it's not a surprise necessarily that they're fading. There are also some really sort of well-conditioned players in the French team. She just dropped that ball. That's a really good decision from the referee there.
And that brings some cheers from the Belgian contingent, who are packed on the bleachers in front of us, and more cheers as the decision goes Belgium's way.
The Belgian fans roaring back into life. Oh, should we talk about what we saw at half time, or is that best left to the forgotten realms?
Yeah, there's something very interesting happening on the pitch. I don't know whether it was curling or temping bowling, but the human form of it.
Yeah, there was a man in a tutu faking that he was curling a puck. The puck also represented by a person into a little pile of pins. It's really, for me, that's as much about touch as what actually happens on the pitch. It should be a fun sport. It should be a fun day. Hands here for Belgium. 19 just has to execute the pass to the wing.
Oh, it's just not quite taken. It was exactly the right idea.
Yeah, a lot of teams look for these sort of latch type plays where you drive inwards as you transition and then try and flick out and go through the hands where you've got an overlap. So that's always a good option, and they should really have executed that one there, but they did create a really good opportunity.
He certainly did.
Going back here for a penalty for an over the mark.
It's into the almost at the final minute of the game. So France 8-1 ahead.
So if you're Belgium, let's keep them out. Let's keep this to 8-1. You've what, 4 scores each half, isn't it? Ooh.
Yes. Yeah. So a 4-1 first half for France. So far 4-0 in the second half. But after 15-0 in their previous match, Belgium,
you've got to be happy with it, haven't you?
They're going to be delighted with the improvement.
They should look at the score as well, because for me it was some good touch. It was some fluent play. It was exactly what they need to be putting down to sort of really get somewhere with this.
Indeed, it is.
Little dump and split. Back into the middle, but that's where all the defenders are. But can they go through something with a phase play? 17, and that was forwards from the mid there.
So no try, and that brings more cheers from the Belgian contingent.
They won't be deterred, will they? Ran through a sequence there, France. Didn't execute too much, too powerful with it, but it was pretty strong from them to have a little dabble and see what they got. So driving towards their box, and it's something they've struggled to execute as well as they might have liked. It's interesting to see where those issues are coming. So, well, that's the game, and not a bad one at all for Belgium. Number 2 will not be
she will not be deterred.
She's going to run all the way to Derby. I think they're going to have a little conversation about whether we go back for a penalty or whether we just end the game, and I think we've ended the game there, saying that the defender was onside and all good, and we'll get to handshakes and so on.
Yeah. Well, 8-1 it finishes. France will be happy with the victory, but I think the happier team is going to be Belgium with the way they perform.
Yeah, absolutely, the happier team will be Belgium. I think that's a really good result for them. That's a really good thing for them to take back with them. And like we were saying, that's something when they then start working out where are we improving, what are we good at, what do we need to work on. You know, you've got such a good data point. How did we keep France to this reduced scoreline? How did we play this well? That's definitely something for them to take to them. Referees for the next game taking to the pitch, including a familiar face in a blue cap.
A familiar face in a blue cap, so we will get to critique Malday's refereeing performance.
Yeah, it's easy up here. Yeah, I might make sure she's had a lovely few days up here, and now all of a sudden she's in the thick of it.
Well, this match was advertised for 3:35. It is going to take place at 3:30 because there is a prospect for the first time on pitch 1 of a drop-off. We're at the knockout stages in one of the tournaments. The men's 30 quarter-final. Switzerland will take on Belgium. So everything at stake for both teams for the rest of the competition.
Yeah, it's the chocolate knockout, can we call it that? Switzerland versus Belgium. Yeah, really looking forward to this. And should we do a rundown on how we do a drop-off?
Yes, please be my guest.
So it's the touch version of extra time. It's what we do if we need a result from a game, like a quarter-final, like a semi-final, and the scores are tied. So you get to the end of 40 minutes. The teams have 1 minute to put 4 players each onto the pitch. So we move down from a game that is 6-6 to a game that is 4 versus 4. They will then play for 2 minutes. If a team is winning at the end of that, it's their game. If a team isn't winning at the end of that, we go down to 3 versus 3. They drop one more player each, and then we play until there's a score, and that score wins the game.
Yeah, so that is going to be excitement. We've seen it a few times. For anyone who watched the NTS Touch series from Banbury and Burton last month, quite a few of the games there going to the drop-off.